for F-Zero X, Big Hand. So Big Hand, everyone's favorite track, or not. Actually, this track is very great for drifting. The fingers of the hand are just perfect and they're just made for it. There's a few interesting points on it. There's a very long section without walls and icy sections. Those are very dangerous, of course, but you can also use them to your advantage actually to pull off some drifts. While I'm saying this track is perfect for drifting and the Staff Ghost is using drifting, we can still beat it by quite a lot using a grip based strategy, so that's what I will start out with. And then strategy 2 and 3 are gonna differ in boost management, so let's watch it first.
Boost power!
So here we go. 12 seconds faster than the Staff Ghost, and the Staff Ghost is using drifting, and even with this grip strategy you can completely destroy it. Not the easiest track for it, but there's a few tricks to it to get along this track fast. So the settings are about +5. Efficient driving is really key here. Keep straight lines, and then use side attacks along the corners. You need side attacks along pretty much every corner on this track. So the trick is to side attack first, of course, and then steer into it. So yeah, the Staff Ghost drifting is really weak for some reason. They don't take great drifting lines, and the settings I don't think are all the way left either. So that gives us a lot of room for improvement on the Staff Ghost. So on this ice section I always try to cut straight across it, but don't steer when you're on the ice. You will completely mess you up. So pick a line before you touch the ice and go straight over it, and try not to steer when you're on the ice. Yeah, so really the trick is to stay along the absolute inside of the corners. Go pretty wide and side attack along the apex. Then keep a straight line up to the next corner. Do the same thing. Rapid following side attacks are what's gonna keep you most speed for you along the corners. This refiller here is sort of a midway section for the track. You're about halfway when you're here. Yeah, so everything's looking the same, so you really have to be in the zone for this track to get in the rhythm, to really take all these corners optimally, each and every one of them. The danger being that you steer into it too sharply and you hit the rail before you go along the apex. This last corner has no rails, so don't be too eager to take it too sharply, because that might be dangerous. Sub 2 minute times are definitely doable with this strategy. So how is the boost gonna work? Mostly you want to boost in between the corners. Don't boost in the corner, so right after a corner you boost once, go along the next corner and boost again. Now, you can really build a lot of speed on this long sort of straight section with no walls. So you want to keep boosting in rapid succession for several boosts to really build up your speed along this section. This is where you can build at most speed. Go along this ice section in a straight line and boost once more. So you use up almost all your energy just on this section with no walls, where you don't really need to do any difficult corners at all. And you can go well over 1300, over 1350 even. So that's really what's gonna win you time. So you really wanna go into these corners from the absolute outside of the track and then side attack along the apex. Because you're going at faster speeds, that's what's gonna help you get along the corners cleanly. Now after the boost on the no walls part, don't boost anymore until you go into this refiller. Go along the full length of it, of course. Go through the corner with some side attacks and then start boosting again. So boost once in between the corners. Boost here again. You wanna boost as early as possible after you get through a corner cleanly to take full advantage for as long as possible of the speed you can get from it. Boost once here. Now don't boost in this refiller here, so you can really refill as much energy as possible. Go through this corner and boost again. And again, same idea as lap 2. Keep on boosting in rapid succession all the way along this section with the ice and cut across the ice in a straight line. Yeah, so use up all your energy actually here. That is the fastest way to go here. So you want to preserve the high top speed for as long as possible. And you have to be very, very careful in these corners that you don't hit the sides. You can just about make it if you really use some optimal side attacks. If that's too dangerous for you, you can also opt to lose grip just a little bit to give away some of the speed you have, to make it a little bit easier for yourself, a little bit safer. But you can actually boost once in the refiller here, because we have just about enough energy for that. Then again, boost once in between the corners every time. I have just a little bit of energy left, so just use it all up. Now this is very dangerous, of course. You don't want to be too eager on that last corner, and on the last straight just boost to the finish line, and you can get well sub 2 minute times, I mean. And over 10 seconds on that staff ghost. Big hand grip needs a lot of patience. And you need to be in the zone, but then you can do great things. So, Big Hand really is a perfect track for drifting, and you can win a lot of time doing that. But not as much as Port Town 2 or Sand Ocean 2. But still, it's quite a bit faster, so let's watch that. So, still about 11 seconds faster than where the grip strategy could take us. This is using a relatively safe boosting strategy. There's a more difficult one that's a little bit faster too, that I will show next. Still, the strategy isn't too hard like this. I rated just 4.5 out of 10. There's not really any advanced moves in it, but there's a lot of tricks to how you can drift optimally on Big Hand. So let's analyze it. Goal time 149, so sub 150. I think it's a good thing to aim for. So you want to drift along the apex of corners and extend your drifts for as long as wide as possible, as usual. Immediately switch drift into a left drift, get close to the dirt, go along the apex, then get close to the dirt again to extend the drift as long as possible. Now you can see me do a side attack at the end of the drift. That is a great trick that you will see almost every corner actually on Big Hand. You can extend your drift just a little bit too long, that you would fall off the track or hit the rail, but you can just side attack away from it at the end of your drift to really extend your drift for as long as wide as possible, and then side attack away from it, so you can extend your drift just a little bit longer. Same here, and you can almost fall off the track. That is very risky, of course. That's not necessary. It's icing on the cake. And what the speed boost that you get from that is just by drifting just a little bit longer than you normally could do, and then side attack away from it. You really want to stay from the absolute outside along the apex, and then absolute outside again. So as long as wide as possible, do your drifts. Outside, apex, outside again. And now extend the drift till you almost fall off the track on the right side, and left side attack away from that to really optimally drift and extend it for as long as possible. Same idea here. You can actually rail drift on the left rail here and still refill completely. Again, this is a very sharp corner, so you have to really go along that apex, and then after you're past the apex, extend it really widely and long to get the most speed out of it. These corners to the left are always a little bit nicer to drift, a little bit wider. Again, until you're almost falling off the track, side attack away from it. And that's what you will do in lap 2 and 3 as well, and that's really the way to go here. So it's gonna take for sure a lot of practice to get into the habit of how you drift optimally. Start from the outside, go along the apex, and then for as long as wide as possible extend that drift. You can even go outside of the track a little bit. That's very extreme, also icing on the cake, but that's the fastest way to do it. So in this strategy we do a boost immediately here, switch drift to a left drift at the right timing, go along the apex, and then you can extend your drift wide across the dirt into a side attack again. And then again, just like the grip strategy, you want to really build speed on this long straight. So boost for several boosts and cut across the ice in a straight line. Now this strategy is a little bit conservative, so stop boosting here. You could boost once more. That's more risky, but that's what we'll go into next. Side attack rapidly, side attack before you turn into the corner to preserve the most amount of speed, and then drift along this corner again. And boost drift here, so you almost fall off, side attack away from it. Side attack here into the refiller. We have just a little bit of energy left, and that's why this strategy is what I call the safe way to do it. So we always have just a little bit of energy left, so there's no risk of instant death from hitting the sides. These corners are great. Just boost immediately when you get to the darker green, or the whatever green, different green texture. Same here. You want to wait with the timing until you just can get along the apex of corners. Now on this corner, to preserve the energy, side attack through it, go through the refiller. And you really want to keep as much speed as possible here, because we're also going to regular drift this next corner, no boost. That's just to preserve the energy. Switch drift, and then start your boosting again here to build the speed from the long section with no walls. And that is the key to fast times on Big Hand, to go along this section as fast as possible. Again, we have a little bit of energy left here. Keep that. Side attack here. And then boost drift along the next corner to the right. And that's when we will finally really use it all up. Side attack here into the refiller. And finishing the race from this point on is very straightforward. You want to just boost drift along every single corner. And use the drifting trick to extend them as long and wide as possible. And side attack at the last moment. Final corner, boost drift here, you can cut across the air a little bit, that's very dangerous. And you just keep on boosting and you can even get about 144 like this. Which is faster than the world record already. Alright. So that is a really good strategy on Big Hand, but there's another one, but it's almost the same thing, but it uses a different boosting pattern that's a little bit more risky. That's why the difficulty is slightly higher, and that is also the strategy the world record uses, and you can win almost about a second with it. So let's watch it.
Got boost power!
So here we go. It's almost a second faster than the last strategy. Just by different timing when you're boosting. So let's analyze it. lap 1 is identical. Yeah, so we'll just watch lap 1 again, doesn't matter. So drift along the apex and keep your drift for as long and as wide as possible. Switch drift here. Go as close as you can to the dirt. Steer along the apex. And then get as close as you can to the dirt again. And extend your drift almost until you hit the rail. Side attack away from it. So extend your drift for as long as possible and then side attack away from the edge of the road is the key to getting fast times. And you can do 2 short fast drifts here, and you can do start a drift to the right and go along the apex, along the edge of the road here, along the ice, and then use the ice to steer left and into a drift to the left. And then keep your drift going until you almost fall off the track and then side attack away from the edge. Stay on the right side here to position the ship well for drift to the left, starting from the outside along the apex and then go to the outside again. Drift to the right, same idea, along the apex to the outside and then go all the way to the right edge and then side attack away from it at the last moment, and that's how you can build the most speed from drifts. Drift along this corner, extend it into a real drift on the left side. Drift along this corner again. Keep your drift going all the way till you're almost falling off the track. Side attack away from it. Yeah, so in the perfect scenario you're extending your drift so far to the edge that you really almost fall off it and that you really get a little bit of airtime out of it. That's very risky, of course. That's like icing on the cake. Along the inside here, this is very risky, that's not necessary. Also icing on the cake. So start the same as the last strategy. Boost drift here, switch drift into a drift to the left. Drift along the apex and extend your drift for as wide as possible across the dirt, and immediately start in a rapid succession of boost to build as much speed along this section with no walls. That is the trick to getting fast times on Big Hand. What we did last time, we conserved a little bit of energy for a boost drift along the corners further up ahead. But on this strategy we're going to use one more boost here to really boost along the full length of this, and we can get up to 1400 kilometers per hour on this section. Do some side attacks to go along this corner and then boost drift here, and we use up all the energy already right at the start of lap 2. So what now? We're going to do a little pit stop. The pit stop strategy, that's what I would like to call this. So we're going to have to use the air brake actually in the refiller. The trick is to use it just long enough so that you refill completely and not any longer. Position your ship well here and boost as soon as you can. You get through it cleanly. So now we have full energy very much to continue our way, and this pit stop strategy is just a little bit faster than the strategy we showed in the last strategy. Boost here. Second difference in strategy. Last time we used side attacks and we didn't boost here, but if you do boost here along the refiller, you refill less energy. But because we did the pit stop, we actually have a little bit more energy at this point. So we can also just boost along this corner, which is a lot faster than do a regular drift without boost here. Switch drift here. But that does mean, if we use the normal amount of boost on this section, that we almost run out of energy. And that's what makes this strategy so much riskier and harder than the last time. Because you cannot hit any signs at any point. You cannot lose any extra energy, or else we will not have enough. Just look how little we have left, just a tiny bit of energy left, and that is what we're really going to need for a boost drift along the corner to the right coming up. And we can just about make a nice drift out of that. And if you hit the side at any point, we would not have enough energy for this. And that's why this strategy is kind of tricky. You can just about do a nice drift here. If you don't have enough energy, that you're gonna really lose time here. Now, use some side attacks. The final part of the race is the same as the last strategy. Last time we also came to this point in lap 3 having no energy left. So just boost along every single corner and make some nice drifts out of it. Yeah, so the pit stop is really cool, but you really need to absolutely not hit any sides at any point, or it will not work. It will not be beneficial to you. But you can win almost a second with it if you do it really well. So potential 143, that's a few seconds faster than the world record. So there's some potential left on this track. It's actually a lot of fun if you figure out how you can really optimize drifting, but you need to be in the zone for this track because it's so repetitive with every single corner drifting. But it's kind of fun. So that's it for the big hand strategy. Again, thanks a lot to Jack20 for making the demos for this. And that also concludes the F0X tutorials. Every single track is covered. I made 24 tutorials for every single track, several strategies, 2 to 4 strategies per track. I hope it's really gonna help a lot of people and keep them interested in the game. Again, I made the different strategies in such a way with the goal times that it makes the most amount of sense to stick to a strategy until you can reach the goal time, and only at that point it really makes sense, in my opinion, to move to the harder versions of the strategy. So it's been a pleasure to do it. I have a lot of fun with it. Thanks for watching.